Listen, let's go back a bit because I want to talk about the kinds of products that you guys build
Mhm.
at Originals. So I know Peter Thiel once famously said that competition is for losers, but you guys deliberately, or maybe it's not deliberately, but you do find
Yeah.
yourselves competing in very competitive spaces up against some really big heavyweights like Calendly, like Mailchimp,
Yep.
like DocuSign. So how what makes you like is that a deliberate strategy and how do you win in such a competitive space?
Yeah, this goes back to like what we want our business to be, right? So like whenever I hear someone say something or like a founder or someone who's a VC or whatever, I try to understand like what is their frame of reference and what is the context. And my assumption from that Teal quote is that as a VC, he is looking for unicorns, right?
Mm,
So he doesn't want an iterative product. He wants something very different that he can make a ton of money, right? And there are some people who are really inspired by creating that type of business. So makes total sense.
mhm,
For us, when we think about where AppSumo originals fit within the ecosystem of AppSumo more largely, or Sumo Group as visioned by Noah,
mhm,
it's to help drive more people into AppSumo.
mm,
And as a flywheel, help grow the AppSumo ecosystem. Now, using the Netflix analogy, could we create a Stranger Things, which is just like a massive success, and people in some ways probably know Stranger Things better than the brand of Netflix, or they know Netflix because it's the only way they can watch Stranger Things?
mhm,
Yeah, there's a possibility for that. But I think like Netflix does with a lot of their like derivative movies and shows, and I don't mean that in a bad way, we
mm,
kind of do the same, right?
mm,
So when we think about the customer base for our product and we think about where we fit in, we realize that people come to AppSumo because they are looking for lower cost alternatives to other products on the market.
mhm,
So then it only makes sense to create products that are competitive to these big names because people recognize, like, hey, I have a Calendly right now, but oh, check out this TidyCal on AppSumo. This is 70 to 80% of the feature set that I need as a solopreneur or a small agency for a very minimal price.
mm,
And same with SendFox compared to MailChimp. So I'm not afraid necessarily of competition because we have the frame of reference for
mm,
us that people come from different products. If I was looking to create and my vision was to create the next bazillion-dollar business, I would think about it differently. I would go
mm,
into bluer oceans and kind of decide that way.
mm,
So whenever we read these books like Blue Ocean Strategy, or we hear someone like Peter Thiel talk, or we hear someone like me talk, I think we have to pass it through our experience and what we really want from a business
mm,
as well. So this might work great for my business, and we'll talk more about how it works great.
mm.
But for someone in different shoes, maybe they do want to go down the teal path, or maybe they do want to go down like the unicorn, unique blue ocean path. And that's okay too. We just really need to understand who we're serving, what we're trying to create, what is success.
Mm. And this comes back to what you were talking about before about really, really, really deeply understanding who your customer is, where they hang out, how you can find them, how you can communicate to them. Because I know I've seen one of the traps that I've
Yep.
seen first time SaaS founders fall into over and over and over again, usually the more technical ones, is they have this idea of feature parity. It's like they look around at their competitors, oh,
Yeah.
that one does this thing, so I need to go and build this thing as well. And that one does this other thing, so I need to go away and the thing is, like, usually they're really small businesses up against really big businesses. They don't have the engineering team. They don't have the budget. They don't have the resources. They can't keep up with all of these things. But they never stop and think about, like, do any of my customers actually need that thing? Is that useful to
Right.
anyone? They just rush out and build it because someone else has it. And so it's what I really respect about the way that you answer that question is like you've got a very, very deep understanding of who your customers are, what's important to them, what they focus on, what they need, and you deliberately go out to build products
Yeah.
that match exactly your target audience.
Yeah. And it's so hard, right? Like it's really hard. And I have empathy towards it as well because what I'm trying to navigate as the GM is every single month we have somewhere between 200 to 500 pieces of feedback come in from our users. And some of it is really just like kind of simple and nice. Other is like pretty aggressive. So some of it's like, hey, if you don't do this, like I'm gonna refund. Or like your product is so bad, how can you not have this one feature, whatever, whatever. We hear the full gamut. And one thing I think about with founders, especially a lot, is conviction.
Mm.
Understanding with conviction, and to like put it bluntly, just like having some balls. Like founders just need balls. And it's really hard, harder than ever before in this era of collaboration and not wanting to hurt anyone's feelings, to maintain the conviction required to make decisions that are hard. And I really like the analogy of sports for business, because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff around sports and how coaches and general managers and stuff
Mm.
in sports do things. And one thing I heard a coach of a team say in American football recently, someone asked him a question and he's like, "Yeah, I have to make this hard decision and that's why I'm so well compensated." And I think that's really true, that we have to make these hard decisions.
Mm.
So a lot of our decision making process, and we don't always get it right, is trying to maintain the vision of the business,
Mm.
the alignment of the goal, what metrics matter in order to make our decisions. So going back to why I mentioned alignment is so important, the goals are so
Mm.
important, the foundation is so important, is because if we're in the emotional middle of hearing from customers who are like, hey, do this or I'm going to refund, and then we go into our scarcity mindset and we're like, oh my God, we're going to lose some MRR, we're going to lose this customer. That is such a harder place to be than, hey, this person asked for this thing. This is a vision of our product. These are the KPIs of our product we care about. This is a goal we care of our product. Does it fit within that framework of decision making?
Mm.
And when we take the decision outside of our experience or feelings in that moment into the objectivity of how we make decision making based on a process, then it's so much easier. So part of why I love kind of this definition of process and objective goals and clarity and alignment is because then I don't really have to think about it. Our team members say, hey, we should do this. And I could go to them and say, like, hey, I don't know if this fits right now. Or, hey, this is maybe a good idea for another time, but right now we're targeting this. And
Mm.
we only can do 7 to 8 updates a month. And these are the ones we think have the highest impact on our KPIs, which impact our goals. We make the decision making a lot easier when we do things like that.
Hey, it's Ryan here. If you liked that video, please click the like and subscribe button somewhere down there and check out the full interview right over here. Go on, click it. You know you want to.